Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Tea Time Tuesday here at the Renewal Center. I am so excited to welcome everyone. Welcome back, all Tea Timers. So glad that you are joining us this morning for a new year, 2022, a new year of pause, of reset, and building resilience. I am so excited this morning because we are just thrusted into a new time of taking out this moment to celebrate ourselves and to move forward in such a greater way. Want to welcome everyone. I see that Karen is already joining us and Ravella. Hello, Tea Timers. Go ahead and tag someone. Invite someone, let them know that the Renewal Center, we are streaming live here on Facebook and on our Renewal Center page over there at YouTube. So we're streaming live over there. Hello, over there over YouTube. Thank you for joining us this morning or this afternoon. And I'm just so excited that we are kicking off the new year. Just so excited about some of the great renewal practices that we're going to be kicking off starting today. So I got my journal. I got my pen, and I definitely have my tea. So go grab your tea, grab your journal, your pen, and invite a friend so we can move forward today on our Renewal Center's Tea Time Tuesday. So we want to let everyone know that we are starting off the new year celebrating in the month of January, International Creativity Month. This is exciting. Actually, we just kind of ended the year a little bit talking about creativity, but this particular awareness talks about expanding ourselves, talks about originating fresh and original ideas. We want to generate that and then becoming more innovative. This is an awesome awareness. The month of January, this whole month, we're going to be celebrating International Creativity Month. So we are looking forward to that. And so we want to move on with our book of the week. I say my sister Renita is out there. Hello, Renita. Hello, Nicole. How you doing? It's so good to see everybody today. Our book of the week is called Leading from the Inside Out, The Art of Self-Leadership. And that's by Samuel D. Rima. I'm going to hold the book up. Make sure I put it on the right side here. I'm going to say it again. This is the book of the week. This is Leading from the Inside Out, The Art of Self-Leadership by Samuel D. Rima. And it's a very interesting and relative and interesting topic, self-leadership. For the whole entire month of January and February, we're going to be featuring books on leadership. So this is going to be very interesting, very good information. I want to give you a little synopsis about this book. It says many of today's apparently successful leaders lead from a deficit, a personal deficit of self-leadership. They may lead others with vision and innovation while their personal lives are out of control, sometimes resulting in moral failure, a breakdown of the family, poor health, or personal financial collapse. As a leader guides an organization with passion and vision, his or her personal life is often left to flounder without vision or discipline. And we know this year we are moving forward with intentionality. So we really, really want to get a good book on self-leadership. As an expert on leadership, the author, Sam Rima, shows how important essential principles for emotional, intellectual, physical, and spiritual self-mastery. It is time, Rima declares, to close the integrity gap between public organizational leadership and personal leadership. This is an awesome book, great, interesting topic. We're really excited. So we want to move forward with our tea of the week. Can you guys give me a thumbs up or some hearts to let me know that you are out there and that you can actually hear me? Good afternoon, Prophet Hope. It's good to see you. Good to see you. Our tea of the week is chicory root tea. Now, how many of you guys have heard of chicory root tea? Actually, I am drinking a tea that has chicory root in it today. So I'm going to give you a little bit of information on chicory root. Chicory root is kind of like the dandelion plant or dandelion tea that we talked about several months ago. That particular tea is in the same family a little bit there. It's comprised of ground chicory root. The tea is made out of that. And it's a very woodsy taste, and it has a flavor and a consistency that's kind of like coffee, like hot coffee, and it's dark, like a roasted coffee look. And so some of you who are coffee lovers will probably enjoy looking and enjoying this particular type of tea. It is some kind combined with cinnamon, and that's what I have today. It's combined with cinnamon, a little coconut oil. Thought that was interesting. And it's steeped like it's always steeped, like most warm teas. It has a nice frothy milk taste. You can add that to it or the sweetener of your choice. And sometimes you can make it like a chai tea and add a little vanilla. So if you've ever enjoyed chicory root tea, I'm looking to see if anyone out there has had chicory root tea. But if you run into it and you try it, let us know here at the Renewal Center. That's what I'm having today in my tea. And combined with other spices, it makes for a great tea. I'm excited about kicking off our new year 2022 with our Tea Time Tuesday. Once again, go out there and invite a friend, join a friend, and let them know that we are streaming live on the Renewal Center. So without further delay, we're going to bring on our executive director, Patrick J. Brown, for the rest of our Tea Time Tuesday. Oh, I'm looking here and I see Nicole says chicory coffee is amazing. Okay, Nicole, we're gonna have to try that. I've never tried chicory coffee, but I'm tasting a little bit of the chicory tea today, and it's pretty good. It's very good. So let's bring on our executive director, Patrick J. Brown, so we can continue on with our Tea Time Tuesday.
Absolutely. Well, welcome everyone. This is our first tea time of the year. So
Yes.
please let us know what your tea of choice is today. I haven't had chicory tea, but you said chicory coffee is amazing. I guess that's good.
Mhm.
That's a good thing as well. So what's your tea of choice for today? Let's start off our year right. Everybody should have their tea ready. Get your beverage ready. Again, we want to welcome everyone to our Tea Time Tuesday, and thank you, Carmela, for kicking us off. And one of the key things about our tea time, again, it is about resetting. It is about building resilience, increasing resilience. How do we do that? We do that in this community of sharing, the community of connecting. And one of the visions and tenets of the Renewal Center is to renew minds, but also to restore lives. And we do that by taking care of our total wellness, mental and emotional as well. And so part of our Tea Time community, we're still going to be here every Tuesday at noon. So please go ahead and mark your calendars. Please feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can get notifications there when we go live. So we want to make sure you're a part of that as well. So at the beginning of our year, we're going to go ahead and I have a salted caramel today. That's the tea that I have today. I really like this. Very calming, very soothing taste here. So I do have my salted caramel. What about you? What do you have today? Let us know what you got out there. There's chai tea. Aretha says that chai tea. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
We
Keisha
have a
says she's
good
having water. All right.
we have
Take
a
care
good
of
combination
yourself
today.
today. He says having her protein shake that she normally says she did even last year. All right.
Okay,
Staying
Lisa.
consistent. All right. Ginger pear. All right. What else? Who else? What else do you have out there? While we're going to be on tea time today, please make sure that you share with your friends, tag your friends, because we're going to really improve our serve this year to you and our tea
Yes.
time community. So if you know other tea lovers, tea collectors, tea tasters, let them know that we're here every Tuesday. And Carmela and I will be facilitating that. Renita says she has some OJ
Orange
orange
juice.
juice. All right. What type of orange juice you got over there? You got no Sunny
It's
Delight, do
okay.
you? Some orange juice. All right. That's right. We have to stay hydrated and take care of ourselves. That's the reason why we do tea time. So we
Yes.
can rest, we can reset. Lemonade and water, or is that lemon and water?
That's
Let's
good.
take care. Okay. All right. Very good. So let's take a moment, if you will, and let's locate ourselves and do our renewal practice at the beginning of the year. So let's go ahead and get yourself in a good posture, if you will. And let's take our breath. Go right ahead. Go ahead and hold it and breathe out. One more time. And exhale. Thank you so much for joining us in this renewal practice. We must center ourselves the entire 2022. Let's continue to center ourselves. So we will be here every single Tuesday at noon, and we're looking forward to you participating this year. It'd be interesting to have some guests, some of you that want to maybe join us and be a part of our tea time on Tuesday. So we'll be reaching out to some of you to perhaps open up our time together to participate in this resilience community that we built. So Carmela, do you want to stay on, or you want to go ahead and drop off and come back on? What you want to do today?
Well, I'll stay behind the scenes today.
You stay behind the scenes today. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Joan. I'll bring it back on at the end. Okay. Excellent. So glad to have every one of you here. Our tea time focus for today, I have a very unique presentation that I'd like to start out our 2022. So go ahead, and if you have your journal, and again, I have my journal here with me as well. And I have some notes here that I want to read from to help us navigate. And I want to start the year off specifically with our subject, which is don't absorb what you observe in 2022. That's our emphasis for today. We're going to start out with don't absorb what you observe in 2022. Now, this particular subject is important because many times we allow what we observe to impact our lives, and we absorb it. We're inundated with a lot of information, a lot of misinformation, and even disinformation. Those are all unique. We get insight, we get content thrown at us through media, through social media, through text, through emails, through different virtual platforms. And all of that information, whether it's disinformation or accurate information or even misinformation, we become inundated or immersed in content, regardless of where it comes from. Our senses pick them up each and every day. And so we end up observing it. We observe with our eyes, we observe with the things that are around us in our atmospheres, in our environments, in meetings, in interruptions. And so we want to be mindful that we don't absorb what we observe in 2022. So that's what we're going to kick things off in. So if you know anyone that needs to be in on tea time today, this is the time for them to come on in, and let's welcome others to our tea time community. Maybe invite some friends that perhaps have not joined us before. We want to build out our community. So please make sure and let me know. Give me some likes, give me some thumbs up. Please share. Let me know whether you're on our YouTube channel or you're here on our Facebook channel. Let us know that you're here. Let me know that you're connected with me today. So don't absorb what you observe in 2022. And I want to focus on that specifically because of all the information and all the external influences that we become inundated with, that we do not want to be overwhelmed with that in 2022. Messages, micro messages, sound bites, video clips, and all that is stored in our subconscious. We start dreaming about it. We start meditating on it. Even there are times we don't know we're doing it, but that information goes there, especially with the news. Somebody shares a video with you. They share some news with you, whether it be good or bad. Somebody interrupts your space, your head space, your mindset space. There's a lot that's out there. So we want to be very mindful of that. So I want to share a few principles with us today. So go ahead and please take out your journal, and we're going to work through this today and workshop it if we can. So I want you to go ahead and get your journal out, and I want you to think about, if you will, about these things. And I'm going to go ahead and advance the screen so that we can all be on the same page with this content today. One is we want to monitor the messages. First thing you want to do if you're going to observe but not absorb is you want to monitor the messages. Monitor the messages that you bring into your life. It's important that we monitor the messages. Why do we want to monitor the messages? Because what you feel and think are navigational tools. What I am feeling and thinking are navigational tools. That's right, Carmela. You talked about the magnifying glass. Yes, because whatever we magnify is what we're going to dispense. So the question is, what are we going to magnify in 2022? What are you going to magnify in your emotional life? What are you magnifying in your mental state? What are you magnifying? Are you going to pay more attention to what's negative or what's positive? Are you going to give more attention to aspects that don't need to have any space in your life? So we want to focus specifically on how are we going to monitor the messages that come into our space? Because what you and I feel and what we think, they're navigational tools. My thoughts are navigational tools. My feelings and my emotions are navigational tools. So if I think a particular way or think of a particular subject or object or content or even feel, then my life is going to also navigate that way based upon what I'm thinking, based upon what I'm feeling. So how are we going to observe but not absorb? Well, we're going to do that by monitoring the messages. Are we checking in regularly? Because our thoughts and what we feel in terms of the messages that we send ourselves will help us identify what needs attention. It'll steer us in a particular direction. So we got our first principles we want to establish in 2022 in our tea time today is monitor and manage. Can you type that out with me together? Let's type that out collectively. Monitor and manage. This is a renewal practice. We're going to monitor the messages because they're navigational tools, and that's going to help us determine what needs to be attended to. But also, friends, it's going to determine what you own and what you don't own. So when you monitor the messages, you begin to monitor, do I own this thought? Do I own this feeling? And am I determining what I own and what I'm not going to own? Now, I really want you to sit with this and locate yourself. Because again, our theme for today is observe, but not absorb. So we're not going to absorb everything that we observe in this year. Perhaps this is a growth mindset now, because that means I have to acknowledge perhaps I observed some things last year, but I began to absorb it more than I observed it. So what you feel and think, again, are navigational tools. We have to determine what needs to be attended to and determine what I own and what I don't own. So we're going to monitor. What are your thoughts on that? How does this apply to where you are as far as feeling and thinking being navigational tools? All right. Number 2, let's go to the next one. The next one is manage what creeps in. That's right. What creeps in. So it's important that you know how to manage what tries to creep into your mindset, what tries to creep into your emotional state, what tries to creep in. You said, well, creep. Why are you using the word creep? Because that's what they do. They kind of just come in and start creeping in a little thought. A thought about yourself. A thought about where you are now. A thought about what happened was. A thought about perhaps what's happening in the future. We even need to monitor or manage what creeps in about other people, about who you're working with, perhaps about your boss and your team or your staff or a project. We must manage what creeps in, because the goal of that is that we have to identify uninvited guests. And it's important that you name the feeling too, because if you name the feeling, you know how to actually influence it. When you name that emotion, then you begin to define why you are feeling what you're feeling. And not only that, folks, we got to manage who creeps in. What do you mean who creeps in? Name the emotion and name the feeling, but also name the person who's experiencing it so that you don't allow uninvited guests into your head and heart space. Work with me, folks. Your head space. Probably need to point to it. Let's do a little kinesthetics today. The head space, the heart space. Uninvited guests. So name the feeling, name the person who's experiencing it so that you don't absorb what you observe. You hear something and then you go to bed with it. You feel something, internalize it, personalize it, compartmentalize it, departmentalize it, put all that stuff, store it, and then there you go. Name it so you can know why you feel what you feel and name who's experiencing it too. We've got to identify uninvited guests. You know why? Because those uninvited guests many times can prevent you from getting, you when you do that, you don't get sucked into the vortex of OPP, other people's problems. Are you down with OPP, as the old song would say? So we're getting sucked into the vortex of somebody else's anger, somebody else's despair. Now, that's not helpful for you, and it's not helpful for them. Now, we validate and we acknowledge. We validate and we acknowledge, but what we don't do is we don't internalize it and bring it in. I don't know if you've ever done that before, but it happens. Even to the best of us, it doesn't matter. There are times when we don't manage what creeps in, and so we get sucked into the vortex of other people's concerns. You've been in conversations with your friends before, or conversations that folks try to suck you into stuff. And, sometimes you got to say, that's an uninvited guest. Not going there this year. Monitor and manage. Monitor the messages and manage what creeps in. Because I tell you, folks will have you on the phone. And it's not that you don't want to listen and you don't want to be empathic or sympathetic or those things. We want to show compassion, but that does not mean that you internalize what somebody else is feeling. Otherwise, you'll be part of the go along, get along gang. You don't want that to happen. All right? Folks come to you about the job and No, we're not going to do go along, get along, because what ends up happening is if I don't monitor the messages or manage what creeps in, here's what happens. I get into this big vortex of somebody else's feelings, and I have to monitor the messages so I can know what I own and what I don't own. Now I'm going to pause here for a moment because I'm kind of feeling this subject today because it's about absorb. We don't want to absorb what we observe. That is the emphasis for today. I'm going to bring that up again. Don't absorb what you observe in 2022. Anybody ever had that happen to you before? All right. So these are just some renewal practices to start our year off with managing and monitoring. Those are two key principles. And I show this magnifying glass because sometimes we magnify other people's stuff than we don't need to. When I was a little boy, I used to use magnifying glasses to burn stuff up. All destructive. Taking the harness and the power of the sun, burning stuff up. That can happen to you when you magnify other people's thoughts process and their emotions. So it's important that we do these two principles. All right. So let's pause here for a moment. I want to hear from you. If you're out there, let me know what's going on. Does this make sense to you? Is this part of, do you think this has value? Let's start off with this. Thank you so much for sharing that, Chiquita. Yes, it just happened. Don't do it. That's right, Lisa. Absolutely. Karen, yes, I'm glad this is timely. This is important. We don't absorb what we observe. Even concerning this virus that's going around, let's not absorb what we are hearing. Okay? I know we can't say that word a whole lot, so I'm just going to just spread it out there. Let's just make sure that we don't absorb what we're observing. All right, let's keep going forward here. I want to just bring in a few other perspectives here on it. All right, the next part is chart your path. Carmela says something very interesting. Thank you for bringing up this. You say powerful thinking about the word absorb, to soak in, to soak up. Can we pause here for a moment? Because y'all messing with me now. This is good. What? I mean, think about the stuff we absorb like a sponge, an emotional sponge, a mental sponge, a cultural sponge, a subcultural sponge, a media sponge, a social media sponge, a video sponge, a sound, all these things we keep absorbing because we observe it. Renita, my sister, says this too. Thank you for sharing this. Says this makes sense. I need this as a counselor. It is very easy to fall into compassion fatigue. Woo. I have to find balance for my own mental well-being. Absolutely. I'd like you to elaborate one of these days on compassion fatigue. That's powerful because we can give of ourselves and we're not managing. So here's my next point. I think this will help with that, Renita, as well. And also what you're saying, Mel, concerning soaking it up or marinate ourselves in it is this. Chart your path. Chart your path. Now, I hope you're using your journal today. And I hope you take some time within this week and next Tuesday to really sit with this and locate yourself. Remember, you can only chart your path. Nobody else can chart your path for you. Other people's emotions can or could be contagious. I remember going in when I used to act up growing up sometimes. And, you know, if you had a party someplace and somebody start running, everybody else going to start running. Somebody looking up, everybody else gonna look up for no reason, just following after the crowd. See, that can happen to you emotionally, where other people's emotions can or could become contagious. We gotta chart our own path, folks, and get centered and keep a clear head. Now, support is admirable. Yes, we want to support each other. Yes, we want to be compassionate. Yes, we want to be empathic. Yes, we want to be empathetic. I get it. That's important. We just need to assess how we do it and when we do it. Is that fair? We want to assess how we do it and when we do it. And sometimes people just need to unload. Unloading is fine as long as we validate somebody's unloading, but not internalize their unloading. Validation says, I acknowledge that. Validation says, I'm really sorry you're dealing with that. Validation says, I can't imagine how that makes you feel. Validation is silence. Validation is nodding the head. Because what I'm saying is I'm supporting, but I'm not internalizing. Does that make sense? So, because you want to chart your path. Now, I'm going to just go to this figure here. The next point is chart and check. The first one was monitor and manage, but now it's chart and check. Chart your own path. Get centered in your own feelings. Keep a clear head. If somebody else is angry and you start feeling your anger temperature going up, that's important. You got to chart your path there and say, oh, wait a minute. I'm letting this particular emotion start building in me. And I need to make sure that I validate without internalizing. Because I want to observe it, but I don't want to absorb it. So let's think about that. I've heard things and somebody call, and they want you to get mad with them. They want you to get hype up with them too. Hold on a second. Take a step back and make sure that you, validate, breathe. We start out every Tea Time Tuesday with that renewal practice. We do that every time because we do need to slow down and take a breath. That gets your blood circulating and it causes our body to move in balance and equilibrium before we act. So chart your path. Chart your path. Next point, check what you allow in. Be careful what you allow in now. Now, it is natural It is normal to be compassionate. Chiquita says this, very interesting. Keeping it clear here is so important. It enables you to make solid decisions, absolutely, and to respond in a way that are not based on others' emotions. We've got to make sure that we don't do that. All right? So again, charting your path, checking what you allow in, and yes, it's natural and it's kind and compassionate to have emotional people over in our lives. Somebody has suffered a setback, or they had a relationship breakdown, or they're struggling with something. And giving people a safe space to speak and share is helpful. But we got to make sure we chart and check, because we don't want to internalize or allow in, and it prevents us from growth. So here's what I want you to really lean in on this. Come on in with me. Come on in with me today. And I want you to read this at the bottom of the screen. What does it say? Rethink parameters. Watch what prevents you. Only you know that. You know, take an emotional temperature check, a mental temperature check. Watch what prevents you. You need to take a step back and watch what prevents you. Okay? And then rethinking those parameters. Rethink those parameters. Now, I know this is tough sometimes, isn't it? Because sometimes automatic response is you let people air out, and we need to provide those safe spaces. I'm all for that. I'm also all for us taking care of ourselves too, and saying, let me chart my own path and let me check. So can we recap really quickly, if you don't mind? Let's go back to the former slide so we can really make sure we're on the same page. Monitor and manage. That's the first step. And observe and not absorb. The next point, you ready, is chart and check. That's what we're going to magnify. We're going to magnify charting my path and checking what I allow in. See, there's a difference between being supportive and carrying too heavy a load. There are times we do care and carry each other's burdens, and then there are times when others have to own their own. We need to be able to make sure we check what we allow in, watching what prevents us, and rethinking parameters. Here's an example. If you find yourself not being able to defuse things in your mind, you didn't check what you allowed in. If you find yourself meditating on it over and over and over again, and it's got you feeling a certain kind of way, or if you have a physiological response to somebody else's psychological words, you didn't check what you allowed in. Because now I start feeling it right here. You ever talk to somebody and you start feeling it here? And then your body starts being impacted because your stress hormones, or your stress is now being released into your body. I need to check what I've allowed in. And once I do that, then what we can do is teach others by how we model it. I need to drink some tea on this one. Woo! Keisha says, woo, Jesus, help me to chart and check. That's right. Spaces need guardrails. Absolutely. Setting boundaries to hold yourself accountable. Absolutely. Chart your path and check what you allow into your head and heart space. You need to say that with me, don't you? Head and heart space. Some of y'all need to be active with me. Point to your head. That's right. Head and heart space. What am I allowing into my space? Take a step back and check it. Because other people's emotions can be very, very contagious at times. They call it groupthink. They call it herd mentalities. If they're angry about it, they expect you to be angry about it. I'll listen, but that doesn't mean you internalize. So it's not about the safe space creation. Okay. This is about your safe space inside of you, your head and your heart space, head and heart, making sure that that's guarded by charting your path and checking what you allow in. Okay. And of course, again, this is in how we interact on a daily basis, especially when we go to work and folks start sending us content. Something shows up in your inbox and it's like, look, chart your path and check what you allow in. Recap one more time before we finish up. All right, y'all ready? Let's go back to what's the first slide? What's the first two principles? Monitor the messages, manage what creeps in. Chart and check. Lastly, care for your space and limit your exposure. Care for your space. Looking after yourself and your needs are not selfish. Make time to do things that build you and edify and strengthen you. Somebody says, well, why you do all of that? I'm not going to do that. Well, you know what? That edifies and builds me. I like to go to antique stores. Others may not like that. And that's totally fine because that's validation for myself. And I might look at all those rusty, dusty antiques, but you know what? That's my space. Does that make sense? You might be a lake. You might do the river. You know, you might do another recreational activity. But care for your space is important because when you care for your space, you're looking after yourself and your needs. And that is not selfish when you do that. So I also want you to take a look at the second bullet point. Don't be hijacked by other people's moods. Because hijacking by other people's moods, I got to go back and rethink the parameters again. You know how I do that is I write down what I'm thankful and I'm grateful for. And you know what that does for me? When I even just take a little small time, what that does is it causes me to care for my space. You know, you become grateful. I'm grateful for the fact that I can drink salted caramel right about now. Somebody may say, I ain't no big deal, but you know what? I'm grateful for the opportunity to have tea time with each of you. I'm grateful for that because you don't have to be here. We don't have to be here. But the fact that we choose to foster an atmosphere of building and increasing resilience, that's why I'm so excited when I come here. And you all are out there, you make it happen. So it's important that we care for our space. And also, if I can share this last piece, is to limit your exposure. Now, here's a couple of things that help you observe but not absorb. Reduce your media intake. Reduce your media intake. If there are apps on your phone that you don't use and you're not going to use them, take them off. If there are areas on your desktop or your laptop or your tablet that you don't use, remove them. Reduce your media intake before you go to bed. Don't let the last thing be you checking notifications. Turn off news notifications. Those things will have you going crazy. Here it comes again. Another news notification. Boom, 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 boom. It's going off. If you know that you're at work or you're doing something, turn off your notifications at certain times. Or inviting too many people and things, it's risk. And it can cause unintentional damage sometimes if we invite too many people into our space or too many things into our space. So we got to care for our space. All right. Renita says here, this is so important. I interact with a lot of people on a daily basis. I'm going to have to be intentional and do this self-check daily. Absolutely, sis. All right. Somebody says, Keisha says, just cleaning out her emails. You know, one way to help you with the email is also creating some type of way where it filters for you. There are certain things in Outlook that help you filter certain emails you don't even need to get to you. Okay? Turn off your notifications. Reduce your media intake. And I would even say choose one day during your week, perhaps, that you don't do any type of social media intake. Perhaps it's a meditation intake. That's right, Karen. I'm glad you like antique stores because I love them too. So You try to use the filter, Keisha. That might be very helpful. There are ways that you can set that up. If you just do a little search, it'll help you begin to know where certain emails and from who, where they need to go. What needs to go to spam, what needs to be deleted immediately. There's certain ways that you can do that. So it's important because once you do that, you don't even have to go back and click, 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 click. They automatically go to certain folders that you don't necessarily need to even go into, right? That's important. And if you do that on certain days, like a Monday or on a Friday throughout the week, you're not managing that. And it's important to do that even if you go on vacation and you have your out of office set. It's important that you actually, there's ways you could set that up to where what you don't need to read, it doesn't even hit your main inbox. So take a chance to look at that. That's a helpful practice in limiting your exposure. So again, our last point for today is care and limit. Care for your space. Don't be hijacked by others' moods, and limit your exposure. Okay, emotions are physical energy. That's why they're called feelings. They exist to fuel action. So if you take on something you can't solve, that energy will stagnate. It's like being stuck. It's like feeling heavy. So remove some contacts if you don't need those contacts anymore. Okay, you only allow those things that you have the power to shift in your life. That's what you allow. If you have the power to shift things, that's what you allow. Does that make sense? Because it creates more ownership, and you can do that in your electronic devices. You can do that in your email. You can do that in your personal space. All right, so let's sit with this and really think through this as we begin our year. Absorb, not absorb. Observe, but let's not absorb everything that we observe. That's so important. I still work on that each and every day. I want to encourage you to do the same, because whatever we magnify is what's going to be dispensed or released in our lives, and we must be careful what we're magnifying. And just because somebody else is magnifying it, that does not mean you have to go along to get along and magnify the very same thing. So let's make sure that we monitor and manage. Let's chart and check. Let's take care of our space and limit our exposure. All right. So that's our focus for Tea Time for today. I hope that this has helped you build resilience. And I'd like you to, in the chat, in the comments, go ahead and share what your takeaways are for today. All right. As you're writing notes or perhaps in your journal, I want you to think about what you've heard today. Hopefully this is fresh and new information, or it's restorative information, or it's repetitive information to get us back into starting strong so we can focus on how we're going to manage and monitor our intake inside of our head and our heart space. So what are your takeaways? Anybody else? Go ahead and share. All right. Too much of anything isn't always profitable. That's so much true. Rethinking parameters. Anybody else? What are some of your takeaways for today? How are you going to apply this? How will you apply this to where you are now and where you're going to go for your year? Anybody else? Please share with us. This year at the Renewal Center, we're really committed to focusing on renewal practices. That's why we do Tea Time. We have Tea Time so that we can continue to build and foster resilience, but also provide renewal practices for you to utilize. Validate and acknowledge, but don't bring it in. Thank you for sharing that, Lisa. Renita says here, I appreciate the emphasis of validating others' feelings, but not internalizing these emotions. You're welcome. Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else? What are your takeaways? What are you going to do? We have to activate or implement what we're hearing. And I would also maybe have these discussions among your friends so that we can all work together to do that. Karen says, I'm going to turn off my phone at night because people will call you if they cannot sleep. Well, set that boundary. That's right. That's right. I mean, what did we do when we didn't have cell phones? You know what I'm saying? Think about that. You had a regular rotary phone. And there was a certain time you just didn't call. Now it's like anytime. You get a notification anytime ever, right? It's like we are wired for interruptions. We are wired for distractions. Okay, to sum it up for me, here, Keisha says, to sum it up today for me, limiting my exposure, setting boundaries. Absolutely. Start that today. Now, I want to let you know what you're doing now is you're teaching others how to impact with you by the actions that you're showing. All right. That's the whole emphasis. So I want to share a few more things before we close out for today. For those of you that are out there and you're new to our tea time, please visit us on our website, www.therenewalcenters.com. If you'd like to support us, we are a nonprofit organization here serving the Concord and Charlotte, North Carolina community throughout the week. And so we have other programming, renewal programming that we're looking to expand in 2022. We ask you to consider partnering with us, if you will. And so you can do that through our website, through our text to give option there, Renewal Center to the number. You can also do it by check or by money order through the mail at P.O. Box 1381, Concord 28026. You also have a Cash App option, # Renewal Center, or through PayPal, the Renewal Center 2020 at gmail.com. Also, please feel free to download the mobile app from our app store. We want you to make sure you stay in contact with us because we provide other types of content. Every Monday, we have a renewal word, our tea time on Tuesdays. We also have our Reforming Culture series, which is what we provide on leadership development on Wednesday evenings. Please feel free to connect with us on that as well. So I just want to share that with you. And that is, we have the Reforming Culture series. We're teaching on the prophetic leadership principles of Nehemiah. Part of our vision is reforming culture. And we have our first class for the year tomorrow at 7 p.m. Please make sure that you check through our mobile app and through our media sites to register to get the link for that course. Looking forward to that expanding in 2022. Also want to share with you that I will be conducting an interview starting my Change Matters podcast on Thursday. So please be with me on Thursday at 7 p.m. We'll be posting that information as well. And of course, we have blogs that come out twice per month in our mobile app as well and our website. So please feel free to connect at that area as well. So let me go back really quickly to some of our comments that are coming in. Chiquita says here that not allowing myself to soak in what others are projecting. There is a lot of that right now in my profession. It's too much. Yes, that is so important because I can imagine in your profession many times there's so much conversations. So let's just make sure that we're very aware of what we're allowing in and what's being projected to us. And as you stated, great renewal practice. Thank you so much for sharing that, Keisha. Something else Renita is saying here. Can we model this for our children? Our poor children have way too much exposure. They need to learn this too. So true. Perhaps we need to talk about this, Renita, and see what can we do perhaps to bring this to children and having some type of presentation or conversation with our children, because there's so much that's being inundated in our minds. So let's just make sure that we're very aware of that. Thank you for pointing that out. And I think we should have that conversation about what we can do to bring that, even if it means writing some of these principles out and creating some renewal practices in our homes so we can impact our children and our youth as well. I think that's important. So again, I hope that everyone has benefited from the tea time today. Thank you for coming on. And this is part of our focus this year. I'm going to bring Carmela Head back on and we will wrap up this session. All right. Any thoughts on today?
Oh, yes. I thought this was just some, I was thinking behind the scenes, this was kind of like a meat and potatoes serving up today.
Yeah.
Great renewal practices. So excited to, be able to take this information so that we can move forward. This is a great segue into 2022 as to what we're doing intentionally, especially protecting our headspace and making sure that, we monitor. I love all of these renewal practices, and I'm going to be applying that. These are practical, simple things that we overlook, but we know that these are things that we can use to help us move forward and to become better. I would say more aware of what we're doing. So thank you for that today.
You are welcome. Thank you for sharing that. This is good. This is what we're here for. We're excited from our team to be able to provide this type of content and renewal practices. And so please partner with us, consider us as we are endeavoring to grow and expand who we are and what we offer to you and also to the community at large here in the Concord and Charlotte, North Carolina area. So again, from here, from at the Renewal Center, please make sure that you share it with others. Watch the replay of this. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And as we always share here at the Renewal Center, I am Renewal. Thanks so much, folks. We'll see you next week. Good day.